Hi, I'm Manuel, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Nezasa. Today, I'd like to show you how we bring an incremental selling process to the industry and why this matters. There are a few notable key trends in consumer expectations. One of them is that today's travelers care a lot about experiences. A majority of travelers also says that not only any experience, but actually a personalized and meaningful one can make or break a trip. And the recent trend is that the majority of people also says that they would like to have a complete trip out of one hand, just personalized and in a seamless way. So how do we do that? There is evidence that today's travelers do not want to be relieved of the actual planning, but because they love discovering and dreaming. They would just need much more support and a better experience in doing so. Take the example of the smartphone on a sailboat. I'm a sailor, and I love to sail. So what I would want least is actually that a machine does all the sailing for me, because that would completely defeat the purpose. But I do use technology to support me while sailing, because it means that I can spend less time bent over charts and more time on deck, for example. So what we have to do is let the people do the things they enjoy just much easier and to relieve them of the tedious parts. In this spirit, this is what we and also a few others have worked on in the last years, to create the tools to completely personalize an itinerary in real time with live prices and live availabilities, and to book it without all the friction and the error potential of previous processes. But this is not the end of it. At Nezasa, we strongly believe that the industry should adopt an incremental selling process that not only allows the people to book what they want, but actually also when they want it. Today's travelers should be able to book one part of a trip first, what's already clear, and then add other parts later when they have made up their mind about them, and keep on adding and adjusting parts of their trip throughout the life cycle, in transit and also in destination. This whole process must be made as smooth as possible. We should support the travelers with smart recommendations along the way to save their precious time, especially in destination. And we must always make sure that all the bookings and modifications are connected and make sense in the context of an overall itinerary. There are multiple reasons why we should adopt such a process. One of them is that those consumers who book everything individually already do it like that. And from a travel brand's perspective, it means that we have a lot more revenue potential down the whole life cycle, and is also a way to take some risk out of that initial booking that can become so expensive and even daunting when a complete fixed trip is sold at once. By removing that risk, or reducing it at least, we can then also increase the likelihood of conversion. At Nezasa, we have built the tools to support such an incremental selling process. Let me show you how. Using our Trip Builder platform, it's possible to personalize, customize an itinerary in a variety of ways by adjusting the route, or by adding and replacing products such as hotels, activities, cars, transfers, flights, and so on, always with a lot of support from the application. Once the itinerary is booked, it can still be changed, and the application will always make sure that the consistency of the whole itinerary is re-established after each of the modifications. In the destination, the travelers can then get their itinerary delivered to their mobile phones with all the information that they need on the go, and they can even get personalized recommendations delivered to their smartphones about additional services that fit their itinerary like a glove, and that can be booked with just a few simple clicks and will be seamlessly inserted into the itinerary. Now, a few words about our business. We are a technology provider, which means that we enable travel brands to sell personalized end-to-end itineraries in a seamless and incremental way. We do that by providing an omni-channel software platform combined with value-added services such as content and data-driven recommendations. Our revenue comes from a software-as-a-service style pricing on the software part and the revenue share model on the value-added services. We're growing by more than 100% year over year, and our customers include two of Europe's top package selling tour operators already. And we've just started the expansion to overseas markets. Going forward, one big focus of Nezasa will be on further leveraging that structured itinerary data that we have with both algorithms and also artificial intelligence in order to create smarter and smarter recommendations. And we're also working on further lowering that barrier of adoption of such modern personalization technologies so that every travel brand, not only the biggest ones out there, can actually afford to serve their customers in a modern and more personalized way. Thank you very much, and please don't forget to get a more detailed demo out of our stand after the talk.
Thank you very much, Manuel. Come off the stage. Focus group, what do we think? About half and half, some thumbs up, some thumbs down, some thumbs sideways. Anyone want to jump in?
So I think it's a good idea, but what I was missing is what's the true innovation here? What's the incremental lift that's going to make a huge difference for the traveler and your channel partners? That didn't come through, unfortunately, in the presentation for me.
Yeah, so it seems like it's got a great UX and is consumer friendly. I think one of the things that wasn't clear to me was how do you get your content, because if that's going to be a differentiator, that's really difficult. So it wasn't clear to me how you get that local content that beyond sort of the travel booking. So that was something that I think needs to be clarified a little bit as you talk to others.
And I was a no. I've seen lots and lots of these over time. I didn't see the real innovation. It's a great idea. It's a good small business. I'm not sure it can be a good big business.
That's the first trip planning company that's presented in the last 15 years that I've given a thumbs up to. Usually it's dead in the water and I go do something else. And the reason is, it's the first time I've ever heard the understanding that customers don't mind searching for hours and days and weeks and visiting multiple sites and checking this and that. And that just opened my eyes. Then I'm a huge boater and I have every bit of electronics on my boat, imagine, so that just sealed the deal, and I like the name too.
And I was a little bit on the fence, but the thing that I really liked was the fact that you can book what you want when you want it. As a consumer, choice is very important, and not everybody is ready to commit to the entire trip at the same time. And so being able to pick and choose when you book which components, I think, is very important as we think about being customer-centric. The piece of it, as others talked about, that I wasn't so sure on was how is this a true differentiator beyond that point, and how do they narrow down the search results? So do you have the ability to, for instance, search by a price or a budget? Do you want to be inspired as a traveler and have surprises come up, or do you have to put an end destination? So just some questions around the search.
So I think itineraries are one of the most challenging aspects when you're planning a faraway trip, and all the tools that you have, I think, are really robust. But I echo Flo's thoughts. The content on the local experiences is so important to get that right. Otherwise, it just loses relevance so quickly if they aren't able to do it in the same interface. But I think it's a great start. Great.
Back down to the floor. So I heard incrementality, so how much incremental lift are you providing, and where are you getting your content from?
Yeah. We get our content from various sources. We have a lot of pre-connected sources, like a lot of global consolidators of all the product types. But we also enable the travel brand to bring in their own curated special supply on top of this off-the-shelf supply. And in terms of the incremental lift, what we really do is we always make sure that the whole itinerary makes sense. We do a lot of logic checking on all the modifications, and we really make sure that you cannot do anything wrong in any of the transactions. And I think this is something that nobody does on that scale yet.
Great, thank you very much, Manuel. Well done. The next presenter